everybody, it's the Lawn Gnome, and welcome back to another episode of Stats, Trends, and Picks over here on That's Comical. And of course, if you are watching this on a Wednesday, then happy new comic book day. So I was really curious to see what was going to happen in regards to October, in regards to my purchasing statistics, as well as if I was going to get correct picks based on what I thought were going to be my favorite reads for each week of the month. Well, there definitely was some interesting events because not only did my total amount of comics for the month drop tremendously, but some of my picks had to, unfortunately, not happen the way I liked because of the fact that there were a lot of schedule changes in regards to some comic book releases, particularly when it comes to some of the bigger companies like Marvel, DC, and even Image. And that is just because of the fact that we're in the middle of a production and shipping crisis, and it is involving shortages of everything from diapers to paper. So, yeah, a lot of comics unfortunately had to be rescheduled in regards to their release dates because of these problems, and it had to give me an opportunity to figure out what would have to fill in for that specific week. So, as always, we take a look at the purchasing numbers, and yeah, it took a bit of a dive, and this is not because I didn't want to read any less. I only ended up seeing a total of 38 books purchased this month, and that's just because of all the reschedules. And it is kind of crazy to take a look at a number like that compared to some of the trending numbers that we saw in the last couple of months. And what was even more interesting was some of the totals from all of the individual companies. Here's something that I didn't think we were going to see. A three-way tie. We now officially have three companies neck and neck. We have the big two, Marvel and DC, with 8 apiece, as well as a conglomerate in the other columns. So it was definitely an impressive thing to see. And also, it's going to play in part when it comes to the purchasing statistics from us percentage-wise. There was a three-way tie, and then, of course, we're going to take a look at the graph. And once again, it is crazy to just see three specific groupings all matched up in one spot. Unfortunately, we saw a little bit of a decline in regards to Image Comics. It literally went down 5%, but also we saw an uptick in Aftershock, which was very, very impressive. So that's pretty much what we have to see in terms of all the purchasing statistics. So let's take a look at my predictions and how everything ended up. So for the first week of October, I was happy to see myself predict correctly again. This week's top pick went to Almost American #2 from Aftershock Comics. It is a fantastic story, and I just absolutely loved the first issue, and I was very excited to read the second issue, and it just did not disappoint. Ron Mars is doing a fantastic job bringing this true espionage story to life, and I just truly love the chemistry between the two main characters who are husband and wife. It is absolutely wonderful. Moving on to the second week in October, we saw another correct prediction, and that, of course, was given to Jeff Lemire's Maze Book, issue #2 from Dark Horse Comics. This story, written and drawn by Jeff Lemire, is just absolutely astounding. It is filled with whimsy and mysticism, and it's just amazing how we see these little threads that we have to follow bring us to a much bigger picture of this man who is just trying to find his daughter, who he believes is alive, and now we are officially seeing him end up in another crossroads, and it will only be when we finally read issue #3 in the month of November how the next part of this adventure is going to be told. In regards to the third week of October, I was planning to really be in the holiday spirit and give it to Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale's Batman The Long Halloween Special, but unfortunately that got pushed back to the following week. And I have to say, I did read this book. It did not end up being in any of my top spots for the month of October, and that's just because of the fact that the last week of October was an outstanding, but this one did end up in my top 5. So I had to think fast about what was going to fill that spot, and thank God we got Frank Cho's Fight Girls issue #4 from AWA Upshot. Oh my goodness, this is a comic book series that did show up in the top spot already, and I have just been loving this series. It's really sad to know that in November, Fight Girls will be coming to an end with issue number 5, but I've got to tell you, this is beautifully written, beautifully drawn. It's non-stop action. If you just want to have a fun time reading a story that you can literally just turn your brain off to, this is the winner. Fight Girls is just incredible. I love each and every one of these issues. Issue number 4 was actually more of a visual rather than a dialogue driven, and that's really cool. But the thing that I haven't been mentioning is there is a mystery in this story, so I have a feeling that we are finally going to see exactly what the mystery is at the end of this series. And that brings us to the final week of October, which I was hoping to give to Vault Comics' Radio Apocalypse, which is a series that is going to be written by Ram V, but this one got pushed back, and I don't think I'm going to even put it in my top spot in November because I don't even know if this book will even come out in November. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I am reading a great deal of Vault Comics, but there are some of their series that just keep getting pushed back. One of them in particular is Giga, and it's only going to be a 5-issue series, and issue number 5 has just not arrived. I don't even know if this thing is ever going to come out, so that's why I'm just going to be a little bit more cautious and not give this one a top spot. But the last week of October was, without a doubt, one of the best reading months in a while. I have to give some shout-outs to Spawn, Echolands, X-Men Inferno. There were just so many great reads, but the one that took me by absolute surprise was Donny Cates' crossover number 9 from Image Comics. I have been reading crossover religiously since it first came out last year, and I have just truly been enjoying crossover. The last time that crossover ended up in the top spot was not even written by Donny Cates, rather it was written by Chip Zdarsky, but this one was a great read, and I will just say, the cliffhanger ending, it is going to get you. You are going to just see your jaw hit the floor because it was just such a big surprise. And let me just say, issue number 10 cannot come soon enough. So that is where we ended up with October. So what is November going to bring? It's going to be a regular 4-week new comic book day month. And I am just going to say there are so many great things on the horizon. I'm just hoping that they will all come out on time. So here are my predictions for November. I'm going to be giving the first week of November to Image Comics, the Silver Coin issue number 6. I am so glad that this series is now officially an ongoing series, and I'm loving the fact that they're sticking to individuals writing a different issue every single time. And we are going to get an excellent writer in Joshua Williamson for issue number 6, and I am very excited just on this cover alone. It looks like the Silver Coin is going to be tied to video games, particularly it looks like classic arcade games in the early 1980s, so I am very excited for that. Moving on to the second week of November, and oh my God, was this one tough because there are so many great issues coming out in that week. We've got Maze Book issue number 3, we've got Almost American issue number 3, we've got the 60th anniversary of the Fantastic Four tribute one-shot, we've got Jeff Lemire also giving us a DC miniseries in Robin and Batman issue number 1 of 3, Stillwater issue number 11, Moon Knight issue number 5, and yes, even Donny Cates is starting up his brand new Hulk run with the book being illustrated by Ryan Ottley. How could you possibly figure out what could be the best read of the week? But I took a gamble. The final issue of Justice League: The Last Ride from DC Comics, written by Chip Zdarsky. This was one of my favorite DC reads of the last couple of months, and I am really excited to see how this story is going to conclude because I think that Chip Zdarsky has really done a great job with this miniseries, and I just think he's going to do a great job with its conclusion. For the third week of November, I am going to be giving it to DC once again. And I am going to be giving it to The Nice House on the Lake, issue number 6, written by James Tynion IV. And the reason why I am giving it to the Nice House on the Lake is because we just found out that after issue number 6, this is going to be the end of the first story arc, and then we're going to be going on a 3-month hiatus before issue number 7 comes out in March, I believe it is. So, as of this point in time, The Nice House on the Lake definitely has a great cult following. People are really liking it. I think that this is definitely one of Tynion's best pieces right now. And I am just curious to see this cliffhanger that he's going to leave us on with issue number 6, and I'm expecting it to just get us very excited for the second half of this maxi series. And for the last week of November 2021, I am going to go out on a limb again and actually give it to Marvel Comics. So it is quite impressive to know that the big 3 companies, Marvel, DC, and Image, will be in control in terms of my November 2021 predictions, and I am going to be giving that last week of November to the one-shot called X-Force Kill Shot number 1, written and illustrated by the man who gave us X-Force. Yes, you are correct, Rob Liefeld himself. It is to celebrate the 30th anniversary of X-Force, a comic book series that came out when I was very much into comics as a kid. So I am anticipating this not to be anything truly perfect or award-winning, but I am expecting this to just bring me that 90s nostalgia extreme feel that only Rob Liefeld and other names like Jim Lee and Mark Silvestri, Jim Valentino, and Todd McFarlane, what they all brought to the comic lovers in the 1990s during the speculator boom. I'm just expecting to have a fun ride with X-Force Kill Shot number 1. But are these going to be the best reads of each week of the month of November? I am going to say maybe, because I am also going to say that along with these 4 predicted choices of mine, there are so many great comics coming out, like I said in the beginning of this video, as long as they are able to come out on time. And that is going to wrap up another episode of Stats, Trends, and Picks over here on That's Comical. I would like you to put your comments in the box below to let me know what some of your top picks in the month of October was, and what you are anticipating are going to be some of your best reads for November as well. But in the meantime, I'm really hoping that you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.